You're listening to the Round the Blind podcast with Ben and Levi. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to hit subscribe for more content. Now let's get started.
Welcome to Round the Blind. I'm Levi Collins. This is Ben Goodman. We are your hosts. First podcast. Feels good. Feels good, Ben. How do you feel?
I mean, I'm ready to go. I'm excited. We got a lot to unpack. Got a lot of cool stuff coming forward, so it's gonna be fun. So we're interested in bringing it to everybody and seeing what everyone thinks and getting input and seeing where we can go with it, man.
I feel like we really have a high bar since we have like 130 followers on our Facebook page. If you haven't liked it, go ahead to @RoundTheBlind. You should be able to find us on Facebook. Like us there. YouTube. We're using using my YouTube account and Twitter handle. So it's both at the Bow Hunting Veteran and Twitter is at the Bow Hunting Vet. Follow us there for more. For what's upcoming next, man. And yeah, we actually have a lot of guests like lined up, like 2 months worth of guests, and it's like every week. It's crazy.
Yeah, we're gonna be busy, man. We got a lot of people coming down.
I honestly didn't think that it was gonna be this easy to get people to come on.
I guess we're just that cool, man.
People like to talk. I guess people like to talk.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm excited for it. We're gonna have some pretty interesting people. You said you got the Townsend brothers coming next week.
Yeah, they've been everywhere. Like I know, I was talking to Josh the other day. He said he went to like Washington last year, and they were in Nodak for like 2 weeks, just hammering birds. So.
Yeah, you said we got the taxidermist coming on. When's that show? I'm looking forward to that one. That's one thing I think is gonna be awesome.
Yeah, he's September 3rd. He'll be beginning September. Then after the Townsend brothers, we'll have Joey D'Amico. I hope I said his last name right. He's the call maker.
Yeah.
he's a call maker. So I'm really looking forward to that one because, like I said, just tuning a call is something that would be good to know in the field. Like that happened to us when we're duck hunting in Virginia. My whole assembly fell out, and then I'm sitting there and I'm trying to put it back together. It's just not the same sound as what it was. So that's something that's going to be really good to know in the field. And maybe we can see if I can't talk to him about maybe we can raffle a call off or give one away. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, man, that'd be awesome. Yeah, man. I've had that happen a few times, man. I think there was the duck commander calls.
Yeah, that was the one that happened to me too.
I'm not a huge duck commander guy, but
yeah.
But I've had 2 of their calls. One of their just cheap ones. The other one was one of their real nice wooden calls.
Yeah, that's one I had too.
I don't remember the name of it, but it fell apart in my waders, and I lost the reeds, never got it back.
Yeah.
I found everything else. I found everything else except for the reeds. And I'm like, well, I mean, this is completely useless. I mean, you can throw some other reeds in it, but
yeah.
I'm not skilled enough in tuning the call to be able to figure it out, like you said. So I'm pumped about having Mr. D'Amico on. It's cool. You've watched Family Guy.
Yeah.
Every time you said D'Amico, I think of the Connie D'Amico that Meg's always trying to live up to. So.
So you're originally from Illinois, correct? The great state of Illinois.
Yeah, I grew up in Quincy, Illinois. We were hunting the Mississippi River. A couple of 16-year-old kids. I had never really duck hunted before. My dad always took me deer hunting, and we never really gotten big into waterfowling. My best friend got me into it. Tyler
Yeah,
Dale.
I was the same. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good, man. Yeah, my best friend Tyler Dale, who we've talked about trying to get him on here. A couple times, but yeah, my best friend got me out there, and we went and got me out on the Mississippi. A couple of 16-year-old kids out on the Mississippi River. I mean, it was. I mean, you yourself, it's pretty stupid stuff, but you also learn real quick too. So.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I was the same way because we just never had the money to really get into duck hunting either. It's
Yeah.
just my dad was. I mean, it was deer and then turkey, and then I would go squirrel hunt on my own. Like my grandparents had like 30 or 40 acres at the time, so I just go out back there and just go shoot squirrels and whatnot. But
Yeah.
waterfowl was always the one thing that I always dreamed of doing, but it's just it wasn't in the budget. We couldn't spend the money on decoys and waders. And you can really get it expensive as you want, including like a boat, a dog, shotgun, and like even shells now, like the the Boss shells.
Yeah.
What are they like?
I don't know what they are, but I know they're up there. I know that now they got those tungstens. They got whatever the new heavy product is. I never really look at it because I can't afford to spend $50 on a box, so I never really look at it. But
I'm doing good to buy the was the Remington hypersonics. I really like those.
Yeah, I hadn't got into them. I always felt like for my gun at least, I always felt they were a little too fast coming out of the barrel.
Yeah,
the spread would get
I shot them in Nodak, and I was laying them out.
Yeah,
I shot those Kents when we were hunting that one year.
Right.
And I was knocking a lot of birds down, and then I tried the Fast Steel 2.0s last year in Nodak, and it says Fast Steel, but it was like 14 FPS. Yeah. I'm like, this isn't fast at all.
Right.
And then I actually had a lot of problems with them. So like that ring around the shotgun shell, like where the shotgun like holds onto it to eject it.
Right.
I had like 3 or 4 shells. Like my shotgun went to go grab it, and it just ripped the metal off, like just completely off.
I'd always heard of that happening with Rios, but I'd never heard of it happening with anything other than Rios. I mean, I guess I've heard it happen, but I just never heard of it happening a lot with anything other than Rios.
Yeah. Because I was shooting Kent that year with me and you in Virginia. I loved them. They were patting really well out of my Stoker. I have, but I was like, I don't know. It kind of turned me away from Kent. But I don't know. We'll see. I might grab another box if it's on sale. I'll probably grab one.
I never tried the Fast Steel 2.0, but
I would not recommend it.
Because the regular Kent Fast Steel, man, I'd never had a problem doing. I've always shot them. The regular Federal Blue Box. No, I know they're cheap, man, but they get the job done.
Yeah. So if anyone,
a lot of the heavy steel.
Yeah. So all 5 people probably listening right now, so this will happen to me. So I talked to Fast Steel, or they posted something on Facebook. Then I commented, said 10 out of 10 would not recommend, don't buy. And then they messaged me directly. If anything like this happens to you, keep the box, keep any of the shells, because they asked me for those. So I didn't think anything of it because I just threw them all away, you know what I mean? But if that happens to you, keep the boxes, keep the spent shells, the casings, because they will ask for them for, I don't know, probably research purposes, just see what happened. But yeah, keep that in mind if that ever happens to y'all.
Man, yeah, I never heard of that happening really with anything other than Rios, like I said. And Rios, some people swear by them and other people hate them, but I never liked them, and they never did good out of my gun. Like I said, if I can find the heavy steel, that's what I go to. Well, hell, now the heavy metal is significantly cheaper now that they have all this the tungsten stuff coming out. So
right,
so I bought a couple boxes of heavy metal last year when I never bought it before because it was so much cheaper than normal with all this new stuff coming out.
Right. But so you're from Illinois, the great state of Illinois.
Yeah, man. You're from Kentucky. What's going on down there in Kentucky? How'd you get started?
With waterfowl, it started with it was a youth trip. It was like a local like guide, I guess. It's like people they kind of like they have a lodge there, but it's really like low, like I wouldn't even call it like an outfitter type deal. You know what I mean? It's pretty much like they had a lodge and some acres of flooded cornfields, and it was like $20, $50, and we were like there was probably like 10 kids and 1 blind or so. But the blind was like a 300 or like 400 like gallon propane tank, and they made a blind and they put it in the dirt or the mud there, and there was like a little part down below people are grilling, and then then they had little up top they had just little slots for people to shoot out of, and I was spoiled. After that, I'm like, oh, this is, especially getting to the coast of Virginia and like the pluff mud and all that. I'm like, this sucks, dude. But same thing with you. I just got with friends in high school. I mean, like I said, my dad, he didn't have the equipment or the knowledge to really the duck hunt. So I mean, we definitely have plenty of water in West Kentucky. I mean, we have Lake Barkley, we have the Mississippi, Ohio. I mean, we have tons of public land there. So there was definitely opportunities. It's just we didn't have the equipment or no power. But yeah, like that's where I really started getting going out was in high school. And like you said, when people had boats, or we go to Otter Slough, Missouri for a draw, the draw hunt. You go in, reach your hand in there, and pull the number out, and sometimes you drive 2.5 hours one way and not get a blind, and you're going back home. So
and those draw hunts in Missouri, man, they are awesome. That is such an awesome program that they have. And like I said, I mean, we grew up on the Mississippi, and we had Ted Shanks right across the river from where we're at down there in right just south of Hannibal, Missouri. And so we go down there and we hunt Shanks, and Shanks is actually where I shot the first bird that I got mounted. So it's kind of a pretty cool place in my mind, but it's also, I mean, it's just an awesome place to hunt.
Yeah.
But the draw place that you can never get if you get in there, man, is Grand Pass, Missouri. That place is absolutely amazing. I mean, it holds 500 to 750,000 birds, a year. I mean, it is absolutely amazing. And you go there and set up, and you just see they have these refuges set up, man, and you just see just blacked out sky with ducks. I mean, I hunted there maybe 5-6 times. There was not a time I went there that we didn't shoot a 3-man limit, man.
That's insane.
It's absolutely insane. It's hard as heck to get in there, man. Absolutely, extremely hard to get in there. You go there on a Wednesday morning, and there's, 60 waiting to get in there. It's an awesome place to hunt.
I always loved getting there like at 3 o'clock in the morning at Otter Slough, listening to all the birds and the snows and the geese go off.
Right.
Just to go in there and not get a blind. That, or we get drawn, then we get like the slim pickings, and then you'll kill like 3 or 4, which is still a good day. But
so we went up there to Grand Pass one day on it was a Friday, and it was actually Black Friday, man. And so we were going up there expecting not even to get in. It was me, my father-in-law, my brother-in-law, and we didn't think we'd have a chance of getting in there, but we thought the hell that we were gonna go. And so we get up there, we draw in, and we can't even fit in the building. I mean, there's so many people in this place. I mean, you can't, you couldn't fart 5 miles away and have nobody smell it. I mean, like there were people everywhere, man. So we get in there and we ended up drawing, and we were the second to last people to get in. So we had we had slim pickings, man.
Yeah.
So we get in there. And we ended up shooting our limit within 20 minutes.
That's awesome.
I mean, that's how good that place is. I mean, second to last, first people to place your pick, and you still go and shoot a 3-man limit within 20 minutes. Absolutely amazing, man.
I miss Mississippi. I miss the Mississippi Highway so much.
Yeah, man, there's nothing like it. It was like a culture shock coming out here to
It is.
Man.
I was talking to Josh the other day, and I was like, I don't even really post in a lot of groups anymore, at least out here, because I don't want to be. It's just so different. It's almost like a 180, especially like the coast. There's just so much water, and I'm like, I don't want to be saying something and it's the wrong thing. So that's why, even like I said, you too. Is like our knowledge is the Midwest, honestly, and how to hunt there. And I mean, I didn't even know sea ducks were a thing until I got to Virginia. I didn't know what a sea duck was. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The hardest part to me getting out here, man, was dealing with the tides. Tides, and that just throws me off. I mean, I'm still getting used to it. I mean, after 2 seasons, and I'm still getting used to hunting tides. I mean, 'cause the biggest thing is no spot's going to be the same every day. I mean, and that's the hardest thing for for me, especially with experience and what I'm experiencing, waterfowling is there's so much water here. The biggest challenge here is scouting.
Yeah.
And not necessarily, because there's not that there's not birds here, just in Missouri and Illinois, and you can go out and you can drive and find
Right.
birds.
Yeah. Yep.
And
That's what I was about to say
see
too.
them from the road, man, but here you've got to get out on the water, and
You
that
have
just
to have a
takes
boat.
so much more time. And I've got my boat, but the trouble that I have scouting is finding the time to get out there in the boat and run the water for such long periods of time to find birds. And not that I can't do it, I just have trouble finding the time to.
Yeah. Hey, we'll have to fast forward through this part or something. My dog's gotta go out.
All
Or
right.
just keep it for comedic relief. I don't matter.
All right.
He's been pacing back and forth for the last like 10 minutes. He's been like under my chair.
It's all good, man. Yeah, that's the biggest problem. That's the biggest thing that I run into.
That's what I was about to say too. Like North Dakota, there's literally potholes everywhere of just water. I mean, you can get on Google Maps and you type in Stanley, North Dakota, and you just look along the roads, you zoom in on like Earth, and it's just literally just puddle. But like you said, you can get in a truck, you can bring your glass with you, your binoculars, your spotting scope, and you can find birds that way. And I didn't realize until like the end of our trip last year that, because we went the third week of October in North Dakota because we were planning on doing pheasants while we're up there as well. We're going to like hunt ducks in the morning, shoot pheasants in the evening. We had it all planned out. No, that's not. It's literally an all-day event. You have to get up, shoot your birds, clean the birds, and then that evening you have to go scout, because we made the rookie mistake of hunting the same spot twice, 2 days in a row, right?
Yeah.
So when we got there, we didn't figure that out until like the third day. It was the first time we did it. We're like, birds aren't here. Let's try to set up on other birds. So we spent that whole next day scouting for birds, and that's when we killed all of them in that alfalfa field. That was such a great hunt. That hunt's actually on YouTube if you guys want to go watch it. But I mean, we were expecting when we scouted that field, it was probably 300, at least 300 plus Canadians. Then there's some specks mixed in with them, and then we saw little not specks, but little specks, and they were ducks, they were mallards. Where we were thinking when we were going into that hunt, we were thinking we're gonna be killing geese and then a couple ducks here and there. But we got a 3-man limit of the ducks that day. That was awesome. That was probably my favorite hunt. And that's why you go. I mean, obviously the birds are nice, but to spend that time with my dad, I mean, you can't get that back.
Yeah, so there's nothing better than going out, and having a hunt with people you enjoy being out there with.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, that's I don't want to say it's one of the struggles that running into being military. But you go to an area and you don't know anybody. You've got to take you got to take a season, maybe even 2 seasons, to find people that are going to be in the same place. That aren't going to move. That you're going to enjoy being out there with. So I mean, I've been here for 2 seasons. First year I was here, I met you.
Yeah.
We had good hunts and we had a good time being out there. And then you leave.
Yeah.
And the next year,
right.
The next year I'm out there. This last year I'm out there and with another guy.
Water. You're in the water swimming for your boat.
Yeah, I'm out in the water swimming for my boat because some guy can't tie it off when there's 15-mile-an-hour winds and the tide's going out the other way.
He's gonna be listening to this and like this. He's like, this dude right here. I'm gonna go fight him.
Look, I have nothing bad to say about the guy.
I know.
But yeah.
What did I tell you though? Good help is hard to find.
Right.
I'm a good deckhander. That's all I can say.
There's a certain feeling that you have when you are in 35-degree weather. I mean, and it's 5:30 in the morning, and you've already had to get in the water, swim after your boat, and then get back into it and hunt the rest of the day. There's just a certain feelings that you have that that I'm not sure a ton of other people.
If I was in
have felt.
Arkansas or the Dakotas, yeah, I probably would have toughed it out. But Virginia, where we were hunting, like we weren't like I know, like some guys like I was Andy Martell in Virginia and the Virginia Duck Hunters. He seems like he's always just laying into birds, always. And I'm sure it helps. I'm sure he's been there for forever and a day, and it helps. And I'm sure. But it's just like the hunts we had, right?
Yeah.
We had like 2 or 3 good hunts.
Yeah.
The rest of them I'm so glad I was out there, but I mean, it was 2 or 3 really good hunts. Man, I probably wouldn't have done it, to be honest with you. I probably would have told them boys to go home. I probably would have went home too.
Yeah, I just the personality that I have, I think leads into that a little bit though.
Yeah.
I get a little upset or a little irritated, and I'm out there to kill something, and something bad happens. I'm not going home until I kill something. So,
we've been out there many days if that was the case.
Yeah, I'm just saying, man. If I got out there and I'm wet and I'm cold, sitting in my boat, I'm not going home till something dies.
Until you get the whole hypothermia.
The thing is, it doesn't get that cold here. Not on a regular basis. It gets cold here, but not like Midwest cold.
Right.
We still get our fair share of 20, 25 degree weather, but we don't.
I feel like it's very select though.
Yeah.
Like that one season we hunted together was like, oh man, it's cold from. We have to be out here.
Yeah.
We have to be out here because we don't know because there'll be
you don't know when the next one's
one
coming.
day we were hunting. It was. I feel like it's the South in general. It's like that. It's just you can't predict what the weather's gonna do. Because I mean, that best day we had when we killed the goose, the 2 mallards and the black duck, it was like 50 degrees.
Yeah.
And then the next weekend, when we killed the mother mallards and the widgeon over my shoulder here, it was 22, 25. It was literally the next week. So I don't know. It's just like I said, it's just the South in general, and we can get more into the East Coast in general in later episodes with people who've actually been here longer than what we have. But I know one thing, that this weather, or if you're going to hunt, it seems like the Atlantic flyway in general, especially if you're lower than Maryland, it's really going to be dependent on weather for you. If you're just like a public land hunter and you don't have a nice 10,000 lease you can go to that already has pits and stuff like that, if you're a public land hunter, or you're hunting just waterways, I feel like it's really weather dependent a lot of times to push birds down to new birds. But I feel like another thing too is if you're hunting public or just like international waterways, coastal is the way to go, man.
Yeah,
if you can find the birds on the coast. But the thing is with hunting the coast, you feel like you have to have completely different rigs, weights, just a whole different setup in general. That, again, that's another thing. I don't know if I'm willing to spend that much money to switching everything over if I'm just gonna be moving again in 3 to 4 years and I don't know where I'm going. I mean, obviously I know. Obviously, I'm getting out. I'm not going back to a ship. Screw that. Sorry, everybody. Benz is in the Air Force, so he gets to come home every day at 9 o'clock. Hey, I'm in the Navy. It's no better, but it's still like we get shafted on the daily. Man, so
don't hate the player, hate the game.
Dude, I wish I would have went Air Force. I tried, but the stupid Air Force recruiter was never there. I should have been assigned. I should have just went to another recruiter.
Look, man, I mean, so there are definitely Air Force occupations that are not going to be as your typical chair force, right? So,
right.
I did 6 years as security forces.
If you're telling me.
Yeah, working
shafted, working the high security detail, and
working 16, 17-hour days. We had a nice schedule, and we worked Panama shifts. So I mean, we had some really nice schedules, but the days that we were working, you were doing nothing else but working and then sleeping.
Yeah.
But I mean, it really wasn't. Not to say that it was horrible, because it really wasn't that bad. I haven't had it horrible in my Air Force career.
Yeah.
But once I
Been
cross trained,
stateside the whole time.
yeah, I mean I've stayed stateside the whole time. But once I cross trained, and now that I'm a training manager,
Yeah.
I've got a pretty nice life.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. You're worse than the freaking National Guard, dude. But so where all have you hunted?
So I started off in Illinois. And so I hunted there for about 2-3 years. And then I joined the Air Force. I went out to Whiteman Air Force Base, Missouri. So it wasn't much of a change. We went 3 hours away. But man, the duck hunting between being back home and being at Whiteman, just the 3 hour difference was astronomical, man. I mean,
Absolutely.
I got into so many ducks over there, and I mean, if I could go anywhere, if you told me I could go anywhere, to move back to, if I got out today, I'd be going back to the middle of Missouri.
Yeah,
I mean, just the amount of ducks that and just knowing the area was easy, and just learning it, and that's just where I'm comfortable with, and I know some people would say North Dakota or South Dakota, Nebraska, some of those big duck states.
Yeah.
But the reason I say middle of Missouri, man, is because I can go back and I can know where I'm going.
Right.
I can know what I'm looking for. I know the area. I spent 6 years, during duck season hunting every single day, scouting, finding the area.
Another thing too is that the Midwest I feel like it's just so much easier to get permission to hunt land. I mean, I know I tried to get going to several farmers in Virginia for early goose season, trying to get permission to hunt fields, and it was like they didn't even think about it. It was just automatically no, and there was a door in your face.
Yeah,
so,
man.
I mean,
so what's crazy about Virginia is especially out here on the east coast, on the eastern side of Virginia, is a lot. Some of you guys might not know this. On the East Coast, if the water is tidal, that typically you can hunt it. So as long as you're not on someone else's property. But the issue that you run into is that specifically Virginia is that they give these blinds out to landowners, or landowners have the first rights to these blind locations. They send in the GPS coordinates. And then the state gives them that blind location yearly, and then every year they have the first rights to reclaim that blind. But once that blind is up, you can't hunt within 500 yards of that blind, whether it's occupied or whether it's not occupied. So these landowners, they'll get these GPS locations, lock down all the waterways that surround their land. And put up these, little makeshift blinds that could never hide anybody or never hunt anybody.
Just like one-man shacks with a tag on it.
Yeah, to keep people 500 yards off of their property. So that's the kind of culture you've already got against waterfowling in this area.
Specifically, public land waterfowlers.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, I don't know how many people are listening in Virginia, but Chickahominy, you can go, if you come out off the boat ramp, you hang a right or left. I mean, it's
there's
both
one
ways.
Sitting in front of the boat blind.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or the boat ramp.
It's like I mean, obviously I didn't mark it, but it's probably every 500 yards is another single man little makeshift blind, like you're saying, all the way down. So you have to go down the waterway, then you have to go off into these little creeks off the main channel, off the main river, just to be able to set up. I mean, and that first time we hunted Chickahominy, we killed a hooded and a buffalo head hen.
Yeah,
and that was it. And it's just because that's where, where we could.
That's where you're allowed to set up, man. I mean,
right.
And so it's you end up getting to a point where you're hunting in certain locations, and I don't want to say this is all over the state or even all over the eastern side of Virginia, but you get to a point where you're hunting where you're allowed to hunt rather than where the birds are. And I
Right.
know it's kind of like that everywhere, to an extent,
Hmm.
but they put you in such a microscopic location because of these blind locations that you're hunting. You go to a public land location and you're hunting, a very specific place because that's the only place you're allowed to set up, not because that's where the birds are.
Yeah, and if you take North Dakota's on the other end of the spectrum, you can hunt private land as long as it's not marked private. I mean, if it's private land and it's not marked, you can hunt it. That's with waterfowl, turkey, deer. I mean, there's like whatever. If you have a tag for it, it's not marked, you can hunt it, and that's in the book. That's illegal. It's not like some, hey, the warden's not here or the landowner's not here. Let's just go hunt this. Like it's written in their bylaws that if it's private property and it's not marked, you are able to hunt it. So it's just, I don't know. I think they should have like a nationwide. I get it's different. It differs, like you said, 3 hours away, but they should set like a generic baseline for nationwide. I think that would be pretty fair to give, again, like the average Joes like us. I mean, that's part of the reason why we started the podcast, is because we're just a couple of average guys that we don't limit out every time. So a lot of times we don't even kill birds. But we enjoy it and we like to do it. So
Yeah, I mean, I think the one of the big differences. So I think the reason why North Dakota is like that is because just the amount of birds that they have there. They've got to be able to have a higher level of protecting their crop shares and stuff like that. I think a lot of the farmers, from my understanding up there, is they won't post it because they don't want the waterfowl tearing up their fields.
It's just so hard. It's the amount of land that's actually up there. That's why it's like that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about how many man hours and materials it would take if they went around and put in signs saying public land, you know what I mean? So that's why they have it, because it's leading up to the farmers or the landowners saying, look, this is how it is. If you don't want people on your land, put up a sign. But man, it's just, like I said, it's just, you get up on a ridge and it's just nothing but just land one way, land another way. It's crazy, man. I'm really looking forward to our trip this next year. The next year, not this next year, but the next year, 22.
Yeah, 22. Yeah, man. We're planning on going up to North Dakota and seeing how we can do up there, man.
Yeah.
I'm pumped about it. I've never been up there. I was gonna go up there twice now. I've had stuff planned to go up there. The first one, my father-in-law asked me to go up there, and about 2 weeks before we were going up there, we had some mission sets come down that canceled my leave. So that got ripped out from underneath me. And then the second time was last year when you were going up there. Right after you asked, we found out that my wife was pregnant. So I figured probably
poor excuse
to save the money than to spend it on me going to North Dakota. So but this year, this next year in 2021, father-in-law, we're planning the trip to go up to Alberta, so we're pretty pumped about that. And then in 2022, we're gonna go up to, you and I, and then your father are gonna go up to North Dakota. So
I'm looking forward to that.
So you asked me.
I've been wanting to go back ever since we left. It's like the day I got back to work, I was like, I want to go back to North Dakota. And then I was like, well, it'll go away, like whatever. But no, like 5 months later, I'm like, man, I really want to go back to North Dakota. Like it's a blast, man. And like I'm sure there's a lot of things we did wrong. So if you actually go up there and do it right, man. Because he only had like a certain amount of days he could take, because he took a new job here within the last couple of years. He only has like a week or 2 weeks of time off. So we still hunted a lot, but next time I go up there, I want to stay up there I want to hunt at least a week, like one calendar week. So
that's the way I want to do it too, man. So you asked me the places that I'd hunted, and so I extensively Illinois, Missouri, and Virginia
Right.
are the only places that I've extensively hunted. I took a trip out to Kansas, around the Wichita area, to hunt with my buddy Tyler, and then a couple other buddies came out there, and so we had a hell of a hunt out there. Two hell of a hunts back there. It was a weekend trip. We shot a 5-man limit one day in 45 minutes, and then the next day we shot a 3-man limit in about an hour and a half, 2 hours. So yeah, I mean it was an amazing trip, but that was just once, but extensively Illinois, Missouri, and then Virginia, and I really got my feet wet out in Missouri because I was out there by myself figuring it out on my own.
Right.
So that was very different. To me, I mean, I had learned and kind of known a little bit, not even a little bit. I had known what I was doing when I left Illinois, but never really enough. I learned how to do everything on my own and everything I needed on my own once I got out to Missouri. But what about you, man?
Yeah.
Where have you hunted?
So obviously Kentucky. That's where I started. Then I've been in Otter Slough, Missouri, Steele, Missouri. I did. One of my buddies had a blind in Arkansas, like just on the border on Arkansas. I hunted there. Indiana, where my dad lives now, my parents live, hunted there. Virginia, I hunted South Carolina here, but the North Dakota. So I've been a little bit more places, just because I've been invited for the most part. Like I would never went to Missouri or Arkansas or Illinois. I did a hunt in Illinois if I wasn't invited. So
you were right there kind of where those states come together, though, weren't you?
I'm pretty much right underneath Illinois. So I mean, everything's pretty close to me. Like to me, in that little tri-state region. I mean, you can drive 30 minutes. You're in Illinois. You can drive another hour. You're in Tennessee, and another hour to Missouri. So it's pretty close to everything. So
that's kind of the way it was when I lived in Illinois. We lived right on the Mississippi River, so we'd go over into Missouri. During snow goose season, we hunted in Missouri. And then like I said, we'd go over to Ted Shanks and hunt that place. Periodically, but for the most part, we would you go and you get a draw for a blind for the year. They give it to you, and then you get that blind for 2 years. You build a blind on site on the river, and then we had one spot that we kept it, and it was a pretty good spot. We killed quite a bit of ducks out of it, but there were definitely better places. But I mean, we kept that place for sentimental reasons. And we just because that's just where we started and what we enjoyed. And they kept it for another couple of years, even after I had left. But not necessarily saying that they had it because of me. Because they didn't. But they kept it for another couple of years after my buddy Tyler had moved out, and then I had left, and then the rest of the group kind of kept it. But yeah, man, it was down there, just in that area, man, the Midwest, Southern Illinois, Southern Missouri. I mean, Arkansas, Kentucky, even parts of Tennessee. I mean, you can't go wrong with duck hunting down there, man. It's just when you think of duck hunting, that's what I think of. It's just that region is what I think of. I mean, a lot of other people, they think of the Pothole region, North Dakota, stuff like that, man. No, I think of marshes, flooded timber, some back river creeks and stuff like that. Not necessarily flooded cornfields, man. You can't beat a flooded cornfield, but that's what comes to mind when I think about duck hunting.
I miss it. I'm ready to go back. I mean, I know you're pretty exclusively duck hunting, but I still love to deer hunt and turkey hunt, and I just miss the hardwoods too. Out here on these on the East Coast, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, it's all pines. And just like I didn't know there were sea ducks. I didn't know like I didn't know people just clear cut just plots and plots of timber like for the pines and everything. Then they replant and they resow them. And my first deer lease up in Virginia, I'm just driving around looking at the property and I see this huge just field of clear cut. I'm like, what the hell is this? How am I gonna hunt this? Because this does not look like, because it still had like all like the trunks and the logs, like just leftover logs that there. I'm like, this does not look like something a deer would want to even remotely walk across. Because I don't know. I mean, I know enough to get me by. You know, I'm not no stand pots or anything, but I mean, I know a deer like path of least resistance, just like humans are. And I'm like, I don't think a deer would want to walk, even come close to this. You know what I mean? It's just I'm ready for what I know. Like you said, it's what I know. It's what I grew up doing. Plus, hardwoods in November. That's another reason why I really didn't do a whole lot of duck hunting. Because my dad loves deer hunting.
Yeah.
And at the same time, duck season would come in around Thanksgiving. That's when the rut was like full on. So that was another reason why we didn't really duck hunt a whole lot.
Yeah, man. That's the same thing for me, man. We grew up deer hunting, and in Illinois, you get weekend seasons. You know, you don't get like a couple week-long seasons. So the first season you get Thursday from Sunday. In the second season, you get either Thursday or Friday to Sunday as well. And then there's four. Well, at least when I was back in Illinois, there was 4 seasons, but not a ton of people hunted the 4th season. Really, just the first 3. But the first season was around it was the weekend before Thanksgiving. The second season, weekend after Thanksgiving. And the third season was more towards the end of December. 4th season was in January.
Kind of like that second rut where the does would come back in heat.
Right. Yeah. So we would always be deer hunting. And then once I got into duck hunting, man, I was like,
no looking back.
I'm not gonna take I'm not gonna take this weekend of usually cold fronts. Cold fronts are hitting around that time, man. I was like, I'm not taking no time out of the migration to go shoot a deer. I'm gonna take my opportunity to shoot some ducks.
That's another thing. It's just you got that end of the spectrum where you have a couple weekends out of the year to shoot. It's shotgun Illinois, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's another thing. Like in South Carolina, in my zone, here in the low country, from August 15th to January 1, it's straight gun season. You know, it's insane. It's like like you said, back home I get 2 weeks of gun season. And then you'll have like early muzzleloader and late muzzleloader. But other than that, if you're not shooting a bow, you're really resting your season on 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I used to think too. When I first got into duck hunting, I was like, well, if I start bow hunting, I've got a little bit of time, before duck season start. But now, once you
got teal season,
exactly. Once reality hit me, I was like, man, I'm not missing out on early teal. I'm not missing out on early goose. I'm not, So,
I still love deer season, man.
Yeah,
I was. You know how pissed off I was after last. I didn't think it'd get much worse in our Virginia season. We still killed like 30 birds in our Virginia season. It was like 20 to 30 birds, or something like that. Yeah. Man.
But we really didn't hunt that much either.
I shot at one duck last year, Ben, in South Carolina. And I mean, I had a boat, but I mean, I didn't. Where I want to go, I was a 1448. I didn't really trust it in a lot of spots I wanted to go. So I was hunting on base a lot, and it was wood ducks. And with wood ducks, if you're not where they want to be, then decoys, mojos, like no matter what you have, if you're not where they want to be, they're not gonna go there. So I shot at one wood duck and it was flying away. It's because someone on a kayak jumped him up. I was like, whatever, dude, screw it. So I got a lot of leftover shells from last year. So
yeah, man. I didn't have a good duck season last year either. So I shot at more than one duck. So I'll acknowledge that. But my
I also killed 30 in North Dakota. So
yeah, my duck season last year was the worst one that I've had. I've ever had. So it was pretty rough. Not necessarily that there weren't birds. You know, it was my first year that I had my boat, and that's another thing, talking about a transition from the Midwest to being out here. In the Midwest, you can find places to hunt.
Oh, absolutely.
But you can find walk-in spots, wade and shoot spots.
Some of
out
the best
here,
hunts is in just a little hole on public land.
Man, I used to tear them up, just wade and shoot, and scouting. You go out to your the place you're wanting to hunt. And you can just walk it. You can walk the marshes and walk the levees and find the birds.
Some beaver holes.
Yeah, man, you can hang out down there and just watch the birds, man. But here, I had some trouble trying to find that because you don't have wade and shoot opportunities here.
Right.
So last year
you really have to know the area for the stuff like that. That's where that's a lot of time too. Is that I don't know how many military guys are listening to us, but if you can find, if you can find a local guy that you can kind of tag along with, have him show you the way, that's gonna be your best bet of killing birds. Unless where you're at in Missouri, where it's just there's already birds there, and all you gotta do is
you just gotta find the public land, man. you still gotta scout it. Once you find the public land and you scout it, you're gonna find some birds. But Missouri, you scout and you scout. Eventually you'll run into them. Out here, and it's the same concept. You scout, you'll finally run into them, but you can't walk it, man. You've got to get out in the boat. So last year, the issue that I ran into was, I got a 16-foot John with a 20 horse on it. So it's not like I can be going out on big waters, all the time. I can get out on a good sized river, as long as the wind isn't blowing, 10, 15 mile an hour.
Yeah.
And the problem you run into with that is you've got to check to see which way the tides are going. So you can't just check the weather. You've got to know the direction of the tides along with the direction of the wind and the wind speed, and make a smart decision. So I wasn't comfortable going out by myself last year. With just having my boat new, getting into some waters that I wasn't 100% knowledgeable of. So that's I think that's a big reason why my duck season last year wasn't necessarily successful.
Yeah.
And so this year I fully anticipated a different outcome. Because I've gotten to know the area a little better. But.
And I feel like a lot of times too, it's you need to be on the York River, right? That's that big river up there.
Yeah, so the York is rough, man. And so they've got a lot of diver activity out there on the York.
Yeah.
But the York can get dangerous, man. The James, that can get dangerous. I mean, everything comes off the York and comes off the James. But both of them get extremely dangerous out here, man. So
you need to be up there scouting now, because it's not going to be as rough as what it is in September or October or November, December, January. Because Atlantic in general gets rough. I mean, I was on deployment coming across. We were coming back across the pond in November, and we were in 16-foot swells in that North Atlantic. Atlantic anywhere can get rough, in the late season. So
yeah. So I've got a few places that I'm checking out, a few places that I'm scouting. I've also put in for the quota draw system out here in Virginia, and so I've got 10 days between beginning of teal season and the end of early season that I've already got for the quota draw. So I'm looking forward to that. And so I've got some stuff that I'm really looking forward to this year. And the biggest thing that I've had issue with is running into somebody who wants to get into it as much as I do. I ran into you the first year. And anytime that we wanted to go, the other one was ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
But last year I had trouble with that. and then I'm still searching for somebody that's gonna be all in with it, with me again this year.
Yeah.
So that's the issue that I run into. And I'm not saying I won't do it alone. I'll definitely do it alone. I just well,
It's a
as we
bit
said
different.
earlier,
There's a lot more things that go wrong when you actually have a boat and you're on the water than just if you're just walking into a hole that you've done 100 times. So
yeah,
that's how.
and we talked about it earlier in the podcast, man. I mean, there's nothing better than going out and shooting ducks with people you enjoy being out there with.
Absolutely. And I think regardless of what you're hunting, that's what people get sucked into. Because I know, I mean, I was 2 years old when I was in the tree stand for my first time. And some of my best childhood memories is me and my dad in the tree, whether we killed something or not. I mean, it was still fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think I've ever seen him more excited than when I killed my first deer.
Yeah.
Like I'm already like a small stature guy to begin with, but when I was like 13 or so, and he's a grown ass man, and he's not a big guy either, but I mean, I was little. I was like 80 pounds soaking wet.
Was?
You know what I mean? Probably still. No, I'm about 170. All right, it's baby weight. I just haven't got rid of it yet. And I don't think I've ever seen him more excited. And I mean, I want the same thing for my kids. I hope my daughter grows up and wants to come out shooting bows with me, or checking trail cams, or going out on the boat looking for duck holes. So I mean, that's just something you want to pass down.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm pretty pumped. Yeah, we got some big stuff coming this year. Not only for duck season and hunting season, for between the two of us, but we got some big stuff coming for the podcast. So stay tuned with us. We're gonna be giving you everything that we can, and everything that we hope you're looking for. So we're excited to bring it to you.
I want to post it tomorrow. That's how excited I am about this podcast. With us though, we'll probably still be editing it like midnight tomorrow. Maybe like Friday morning, we're still like falling asleep trying to get this right.
Yeah, man.
Like I said,
yeah, man. So I mean, most of you guys listening to us probably don't. I mean, more than likely, 100% likely don't know us that well. So I am the least technologically sound person. So if there is stuff that is seems off about this podcast when it comes to editing wise, we're gonna get better.
Yeah. That's why I told all 22 followers on my YouTube same thing. I'm like, I'm probably not going to be the best. You're not watching Bone Collectors. Just get that in your head right now.
Yeah.
So, what was the reason why? I know we've talked about this several times about starting a podcast, but why for you was it what was the driving factor for you to say, you know what, I really like to do a podcast?
Man, I just love talking about waterfowling. I love talking hunting in general. I mean, I definitely hunt ducks way more than I hunt anything else.
Yeah.
And I just love talking about it. And so you and I, we talk quite a bit, whether it's talking about baseball or talking about hunting or whatever else.
Mm-hmm.
I know where I've been in the past with trying to learn.
Right.
I know where I've been with trying to figure out if I'm on the right path hunting wise. There's things that I'm doing wrong or things I can do better, and just things that I need to understand more from like a legal perspective, or stuff. I just love talking about it, man. And I'm not saying this podcast is going to be 100% directed towards, a newer generation of waterfowling, because we also want to just talk to people who also love it, and who also, or at least from my perspective, who also love it and who also want to talk about it, and will talk about it with us. We're going to have guests on, and I don't think we're going to be crazy. I know we have guests lined up as far as, game wardens and taxidermists and other facets of stuff that people are always interested in, people that always have questions on. So I'm just excited to talk about it and just share it and get it out there, man. That's what I'm excited for. That's my driving force. I just love talking about it.
And for what it was for me is that, I was looking at filming this year. I was have my YouTube channel. I'm going to be mainly doing. I'm doing South Carolina 139 is 139 days of deer season here in South Carolina. But another thing is that I went on YouTube, I typed in tips for filming waterfowl and nothing came up. So I mean, to have it one centralized, I want to get to where we have one centralized location of information that anyone like. What about how do I set up decoys for in this type of conditions or in this type of area? They search it and it's there. Or how do I prepare my bird that I plan on taking the taxidermist, whether it's 6 hours from now or 6 months from now? You know what I mean? Dog training. There's so many different avenues that you can get into with waterfowling, not just the actual hunting aspect. Like I was talking to you the other day, it's just like the whole transport laws.
Yeah, man.
Like if you're crossing state lines, you can really get hemmed up for not having your bird not being able to be identified. And game wardens aren't just wardens anymore; they're officers.
Yeah.
They have a lot more pull. They can do a lot more things now. They can tear apart your truck with no probable cause. I mean, so I want to be able to again have a centralized information list that anyone can come on and listen for whether it's 5 minutes and get the information they need, or listen to the whole podcast and feel like they've actually learned something and put it towards the season. And hopefully, I mean, I would love if our page got flooded with pictures saying, I will watch this podcast and it helped me on this hunt. You know what I mean? I would love that.
Yeah,
I mean,
man.
I don't have to kill birds to get gratification, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean that's it. I mean the whole thing behind not just being a hunter, but just being an outdoorsman. You know, I mean, just love doing it. Just love being out there. Just love talking about it. And I think one thing that I would love for people to kind of take away from me within this podcast is waterfowlers. We tend to be really selfish. We tend to be really, like self-centered, keep everything to ourselves.
Absolutely.
Within our group. And
I don't expect the people to pin drop like, a location, but
right, 100%.
I was talking to Josh about this the other day when I went to Otter Slough, and again, you walk in it's a room and there's already people there, and I walk in, sweatpants and a hoodie. You know what I mean? It was like just a Gander Mountain hoodie because I worked there at the time, and like just like a Ducks Unlimited hat. And the people, like, you could tell, like, people like give you like a side eye, and like if you're not dressed in Sitka or Drake,
right,
or whatever it is. And that's another thing too, is like I see a lot of people, especially on the South Carolina page, about how people come in at 6 o'clock, like right at daybreak, sky bus, don't let the birds work, because they're again, like, they're selfish. They want to kill the birds, not just. Yeah. So if they have a different mindset, like, well, let me see how the birds work. Let me call at them this way and see how they react to, or well, the birds they didn't like something, so let me go change the decoys around. They want to kill. You know what I mean? And I get it.
I will agree, though. I will admit that there is a fine line between being accepting of somebody who's just kind of learning and somebody who's ruining your hunt.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean? So
that's what I'm trying to get at, is that if maybe it is just plain just bliss ignorance and people don't know, or it could be people that they just don't care. And if it is someone that generally doesn't know, like kind of like rules of the road type deal, I'd love to be able to get people on or us talk about it,
and
clear it up.
Those people, man.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because I mean, people are going to do what they're going to do at the end of every day. I mean, the people that know what they're doing, they still sky bus. They're going to do it tomorrow and the next day, the next week, the next season. Yeah. But if it's someone that generally doesn't know, that's just ignorant, that's kind of like the crowd I like to reach out and kind of help. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
Maybe learn something for myself along the way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say that I know everything. There's several things that I don't know.
No,
as we've stated already, man. I mean, I'm hunting a completely different region of the country than what I'm used to, and I'm in the middle of a learning curve, man. So, I 100% understand, and I just think if we can get just some kind of sense of, there's always people who want to get into this sport or get into this community. And so I think having that mindset of, hey man, you're an idiot, you don't know what you're talking about, drives people away from it. And there's so many amazing things about waterfowl, and there's so many amazing things about being an outdoorsman. So many amazing memories, and so many things that I would be so upset if I never experienced it in my life.
Yeah.
So
I think a lot of it too.
I don't want to drive someone else away because
Right.
because I don't like something that they did, or I got upset with something that they said, or they said something dumb, so I think they're an idiot. You know what I mean? I mean, I've taken people out who have never hunted a day in their life, and I showed them, what's so amazing about doing this, and they still hunt to this day, man.
Yeah.
And I just love that. I mean, I love introducing people to this. I love talking about it. It's my favorite thing in the world to do. So I mean, I'm just so excited about talking about it, and kind of giving a platform to other people, man.
Yeah. And it could be, you could deter someone easily as starting on Facebook saying, "Hey guys, I have this type of shotgun. What types of shells do you guys use?" And I see a lot of guys just like ripping into a guy. You know what I mean? When they're just generally asking a question. And I mean, I'm what's the word I'm looking for? I'm guilty of it too, because on like South Carolina Deer Hunters page, you'll have everyone and their brother saying, "How old is he? How much does this guy weigh?" And after a while, it gets annoying. But I mean, I just ignore it.
Yeah, it's just one of those things, man. Where I mean, you think about it, people are just trying to learn, and then as they ask questions, and you're going to see the same questions all the time, and so it's the same thing with people who are newer hunters and haven't figured out yet, that scouting is the key to killing ducks.
No matter where you're at, that's the hardest part.
And you
scout
see
the ducks out.
Yep, and you see these posts and these pages, and people are like, "Hey, I need some help. I can't find any place to kill ducks." And all you see on the post is, get off your ass, go scout. And there's truth to it. And I think that's why it's so easy for people to just throw it out there, and kind of be a little standoffish with it, because there's truth out there. But I also think, man, there's absolutely nothing wrong with saying, "Hey, man, I can take you out for a hunt. I have an open spot tomorrow. I can take you out for a hunt." Or like
being devil's advocate, though, is if you're taking someone you don't know, and especially if it's public land, you don't know if they're going to take Jim, Bob, and Ray the next day, and then they're going to tell their friends. So it's like, I get it on both ends of the spectrum. Like, you should take them out, but at the same time,
there's etiquette, man.
Yeah, and it's just you got to be like a man of your word at the end of the day. Like, if the guy says, "Hey, I'm taking you, but please be respectful. Don't take anyone else here, because this is a spot that it's not very well known." But
yeah, man.
At the end of the day,
but you don't have to take them to your prime spot.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I've done the same thing.
Trust a little bit.
I've had people who want to go hunting, and or people who I know are hunters. And I'll take them out, but I don't take them to the spot where I know, or where I know that I'm going to be killing ducks for the next couple of weeks. I'm going to take them.
Is that why we never killed really?
Yeah,
is that why I never limited out?
That's exactly what it was, man.
Yeah,
that's exactly what it was. Joke's on me, I didn't have another spot.
That's what happened. You can blame that on last year too.
Yeah,
you just want to take those other Navy guys out to your prime spot.
Yeah, man.
Especially after they tied your boat. So I would be taking them.
Do you guys not learn how to tie off a boat? Is that not something
it's not as well known? It's not as well known as what people might think. There's only really one job in the Navy where you learn to really tie knots. Anything else, I mean, I'm a mechanic, so I don't have the use. You know what I mean? I know how to tie knots, but I mean, at the end of the day, just tie a hope knot. Just hope it doesn't come off.
Yeah, but I mean,
If you don't know how to tie knots, tie a lot. I mean,
the thing was, what killed me, man, is I backed the boat down in the truck. I had just unhooked it. I tossed him the bow line, or the bow line, and he grabbed it, and I tossed the stern line off to the other guy, and they both had a hold of it. You know, I went to get back in the truck, and I look back, and I see both lines just run off the dock, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me.
So I'd much rather tie a knot where it can't be untied and have to buy the guy another line than having a runaway boat.
Much rather cut the line.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I look up, and the boat's on its way out. The tide's going out the same direction.
Behind you too.
The tide's going. Yeah. We were the first people at the boat ramp, so there was like probably 5-6 other people waiting for us.
Did anyone say anything to you when you got back?
No.
Like, you want to go back to your truck?
No. So the tide was going out, and the wind was going in the same direction. And so I looked up, and the boat was. It's dark. You know, all I had my headlight on, and I can almost not see the boat anymore. So I say, I talked to other people about it, and they say, well, why didn't you make them jump in and swim? I'm like, man, when you look up,
that was my first initial reaction too.
Yeah, when you look up and you see your boat floating off, you don't have time to point fingers and tell somebody else to jump in.
Well, at least there was other boaters there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Someone else put their boat in. I'm sure that was just tracked down.
So that was just my initial thought process, man.
Yeah.
So, thinking about it now, if I could go back, what I'd do is I would have just left it, man, and just had someone else take me over.
Yeah.
But at the time, my first thought was just panic, man, because you don't see your boat floating off very often.
No, not at all. That's not a sight I want to see, regardless of where I'm at. But it's a pretty good first podcast, honestly.
Yeah, man.
I hope this is up to the hype of all the naysayers out there that say that what we're doing is stupid. If there's anyone saying that, I'm not saying there are, but I think we're ahead of the curve of our actual skill level when it comes to technology. So I think it's a pretty good first podcast.
Yeah, I'm happy with it. I think we put
with our Xbox headsets on.
Yeah, so we look a little goofy, but hey, it's all good. I think I think we've got some big stuff coming forward. I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited to get this out there, get this posted, see how many people it reaches, and get some feedback too. Because
absolutely.
The last thing I want to do is I enjoy just talking, man. I enjoy just BSing. I mean, we do it all the time. But I mean, we can talk about the same stuff over and over and over again, and I'll never get tired about it. So,
right.
If you give me something else to talk about, I can talk about it over and over and over again and never get tired about it. So I'm excited to see what other people would like for us to talk about. I know we've gone a little long on this one since it's the first podcast. We may not have a ton of baseline topic to have talked about, but man, if you're still here, I'm glad you stuck with us. And
absolutely. And just another thing is, when I go on the page, I don't know how often you look at it, and I see someone I don't know that's liked our page. I love that. I'm like, awesome. Like more people are liking it. More people are actually interested to see what we can do. And that's why I said at the beginning is I think we actually have we got a little bar that's already set for us. So we gotta come out guns blazing. So
yeah, man.
But I appreciate everyone listening. If you're still, like Ben said, if you're still listening, I really appreciate it. But that's going to be all for this podcast. So next week, we're going to have Matthew and Josh Townsend. They're going to be coming on and talking about a little bit about DIY hunts, out-of-state hunts in general. And then talk about a little bit about the decline of numbers and birds on the East Coast in general, but specifically like the Virginia, South Carolina down area. So stay tuned for that. There's gonna be a lot of good information be putting out on that because them boys, they've they've been duck hunting since they were in diapers, pretty much, and so I know they're a wealth of knowledge. They're gonna shed a lot of light on stuff that I've been wondering since I got here last year about the just the habitat in general and why it was South Carolina has been on a constant decline, it seems like, and just again pretty much the whole East Coast in general. It's been on just a steady decline for birds. So
yeah, man, I'm excited. So I appreciate everyone listening. This has been the Round the Blind podcast with Ben and Levi. So we will see you next week with the Townsend brothers.